Welcome to the FiveStack. My name is Dean. Can't remember where we just started, but oh yeah, John Cron, my sixth grade teacher. He's like, "Come on in, the water's fine." Every time you'd go into class, "Come on in, the water's fine." Hi Shane, how you doing? I'm going to get back to you, I promise. Um, and so that's what I'd like y'all to do. Come on in. The water's fine. These are friendly waters, no shark infested waters. This is a mega free zone. We can have a normal conversation with you, our beloved Substack family. And we've got a few stories to get to today. But I just wanted to let everybody know that today's show is going to be rife with hypocrisy. I want to let everybody in today's show know that today you are going to hear things that you've heard for the past 10 months and still not be able to believe that it's happening. We're going to be talking a little bit about an election. We've got New York. Mamdani looks like he's going to clear the hurdle and become the next mayor of the city of New York. We'll get to that. We've got a governor's race in Virginia and in New Jersey. We'll get to that. We'll talk a little bit about Prop 50. We'll tell you about the projections, some polling, a little bit of a preview show today, which is great. Hey, Shane, how you doing, buddy? And hi, Elizabeth. Nice to see you. Hello from the heartland where Trump starves his MAGA base. We're actually going to get to that in a little bit, too, and talk a little bit about this impending SCOTUS decision. And, of course, we'll end somewhere, at one or two on Scott Bessent continuing to. Is there a less threatening individual on the planet than Barbie House Scott Bessent?
I don't
Threatening
know.
Canada again?
He gets into like actual fist fights with people. Remember, it's a couple of times now. I think Elon Musk and somebody else, maybe Marco Rubio. He went he got into a fist fight. He's quite
Gave Elon a black eye.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. You wouldn't want to meet him in a back alley.
No.
On the other hand, Canada's quite formidable, and we'd beat him up if he beat us up first.
I don't know if Scott. I see. I'm not afraid of Scott Bessent.
I mean, either. But that's just because you think he's gay.
I don't think he's gay. I know he's gay, but I don't care if I don't. His sexual preference doesn't bother me. That guy.
But
that guy
think in a
looks
fight
like
with a gay guy, the straight guy's going to win all the time. I got news for you,
No,
sir. I got news for you.
I'm not fighting you. You're jacked. There's no way I'm taking you on. Scott Bessent is not jacked. He's just this little wiener. He's just this little loser that just follows Trump around and goes, "Well, things aren't as bad as they look. Or even though they're really bad, they're not as bad as they look. In Canada, we're coming for you, Canada." Because, listen, all hell is going to break loose in the United States after today, ladies and gentlemen. And they're looking for people to pin every bad thing that has happened in the United States of America that led to the consequence of what will probably happen in today's election. And that includes coming after Canada. That includes destroying your SNAP benefits, which apparently they're still going to do. That includes giving pardons to guys like CZ for Binance. That includes election interference. That includes Ice Goon. So why don't we get to it? Where do you want to start today, my friend, Mr. Zev Shalev?
At number 5, Americans are voting today in off-year elections that amount to a direct referendum on Trump's chaotic doesn't even seem like a strong enough term, first year back in office, with Virginia electing its first female governor, New Jersey's tight race testing whether Trump's endorsement actually helps or hurts, and New York deciding if Democratic Socialist, he calls himself that, Zoran Mamdani, becomes mayor, despite Trump calling him his worst nightmare. And California's proposed Proposition 50 is offering Democrats their first major counterpunch to Republican gerrymandering. Trump spent the last 24 hours going absolutely nuts, talking about fake polls in all caps. He's calling Jews who vote for Mamdani Jew haters and stupid people. But you have this all on deanblundell.substack.com. What's Trump on about right now as he gets defeated in the polls?
It's the same. He knows he's going to lose. He's going to get wiped out today. Prop 50 is going to pass. Not only is Prop 50 going to pass, we're going to get a couple of Democratic governors in New Jersey and Virginia. Not only is that going to happen, Zoran Mamdani, who has run an incredible campaign, who is the antithesis of what everybody in the United States hates, which is, we talked about yesterday, which is big political parties, which are just businesses to fuck you. And he's losing his mind. He endorsed Andrew Cuomo yesterday, which must have killed him. And it killed Andrew Cuomo today. Everybody is voting for Zoran Mamdani. It's a fucking kiss of death. But let me just get to some of the things that he said, because he melted down yesterday, melted down today. threatened to stop sending money to New York if New York wins, if Mamdani wins, threatened to have him arrested, called him a commie, said that he's probably going to look into his immigration papers and visas, and then just Truth Social tweeted his tiny little mushroom penis off for the past 24 hours. To your point, he tweets at 8:46 this morning because he knows he's going to lose. This is fucking crazy. This is the president of the United States. Any Jewish person that votes for Zohran Mamdani, a proven self-professed Jew hater, is a stupid person.
That's going to get you very far. That's going to really succeed.
Calling New York Jews stupid people if they vote for him?
But who hate him? I mean, everyone in New York hates him. So, like, it just amplifies it in the wrong direction. It's just such a stupid thing to do. But, there you go.
He does, but he doesn't care. As long as he can continue to label people commies and Jew haters and stupid people, like he called the entire Jewish population of New York stupid people. That's fucking as anti-Semitic as it gets. Then he tweets this about an hour before that, because he's dying in the polls. I don't know if you've seen some of the Quinnipiac stuff. CNN kind of put it all together for us yesterday, and he's going to say CNN's fake news, but whatever. He's like 30% on the economy, 29% on immigration. His overall approval rate, his disapproval rating is around 65%.
Wow.
His 65% of America. So this entire election cycle, Prop 50, everything that's going on with these special elections, the mayor of New York, they're an indictment of him, and he knows it. So he puts this out. So many fake polls are being shown by the radical left media, all slanted heavily towards Democrats and far left wingers. All of them, by the way. In the fair polls and even in reasonable polls, which I have not seen, fair polls and even reasonable polls, I have the best numbers I've ever had. And why shouldn't I? I ended 8 wars, created the greatest economy in the history of the country. No, you didn't. Kept prices, inflation, and taxes down. They're way up all over the place. Setting standards for right track, wrong track for the USA. Fake news will never change. They are evil and corrupt. But as I look around my beautiful surroundings, I say to myself, and he can't help himself. Like the self-aggrandizing bullshit is awesome. He's like, oh, look, here I am sitting in the Oval Office. That was this morning. But it got better and better and better. Like all night last night, Virginia, New Jersey, vote Republican if you want massive energy costs. Vote Republican if you want massive energy costs and crime reduction. Democrats will double and even triple your energy costs. Crime will be rampant. It's always the same fucking thing. He's trying to paint everybody this picture that if you vote for somebody that he doesn't like, who doesn't lick his balls, who doesn't change his diaper, who doesn't shine his bald spot, if you don't vote for his guy, nothing but death and destruction will befall you.
And meanwhile, he is the guy bringing death and destruction everywhere. I mean, he's the guy currently, with a shutdown government, taking away people's Medicaid, taking away people's Medicare, firing federal workers left, right, and center, an economy that might look like it's doing well in the stock market, but is actually tanking it everywhere else. People aren't selling their homes, they aren't buying their homes because they simply can't agree on what the market should sell for. And that means that there's a mortgage crisis potentially brewing. You've got, the world hating you because of all the tariff craziness that you've done. And your prices for everybody, no matter what it is, your healthcare, your groceries, your energy costs are all rising. This is not a great president. This is the guy who's delivered everything he says the other team's going to do. So if you follow that reasonable logic, then you need to vote for the Democrats everywhere. They're the only ones who can actually fix the problem.
Yeah, dude, you know what? And it's going to be a bloodbath today. I'm fucking so tired of the mainstream media equalization of whether or not Trump is going to win or whether or not he's got great ideas or whether or not his candidate's the right candidate. I am so exhausted by that I prepared some numbers in a post today. I'd encourage everybody to go check it out. deanblundell.substack.com, 25% off. We've reduced the prices. Come on in again. The water's fine. Would love to have you. Free or paid. You're the lifeblood of what we do. So I put some numbers together, and it's really fascinating because in Virginia, as of last night, Abigail Spanberger is up, the Democrat, the candidate. She's incredible. She's up double digits in every category, in every district in Virginia. Double digits, almost every single.
Virginia
every
is
single
so
district.
important. Virginia is where a lot of federal workers live. It's really a test case for what Washington, D.C. insiders feel about this government.
And
And
that's
the
a
fact,
great point because most of those people that feed into those polls are federal employees that actually work for Donald Trump, work for the
yeah.
Trump regime, work in the White House, work at Quantico, work for the United States of America. So this is such a quiet, beautiful fucking indictment, to your point.
Yeah, and she's going to win. I mean, clearly she's going to win, and it's going to be a very, very difficult time for Democrats to argue that. For Republicans to argue that they have any winnable seats available to them. This is just an embarrassment that this is going to the Republicans. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
to the Democrats.
Yeah, well, it should be, but it's the State of the Union. It's where America's at. Let's move over to New Jersey. Mikey Sherrill, have you seen this woman? What a
She's
fucking
great.
force! She's a
She's
former
great.
helicopter pilot for the U.S. Army. Sorry, yeah, for the U.S. Air Force. She is a lawyer. She's raising 4 kids, and she just decided, it's fucking incredible. I'm amazed by people like Mikey Sherrill. She just decided that she might want to throw her hat in to run for governor. She is crushing Jack Citarelli. And Jack Citarelli is like a Trump buddy, an old school mob boss who has been begging Trump to come to New Jersey to help him campaign. And Trump has given him the Heisman the whole time. He's put out a couple Truth Social tweets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She's up by double digits going into today. Let's get to Zoran
No, it's not.
Mondami.
It's just so she's not a sure bet. I mean, she looks like she's going to win, but it still
Mikey
could
Sherrill?
be. Yeah, is she that convincingly up? I think she's maybe up a few points, but she's not there convincingly. Maybe I'm reading the wrong things that
The
you
lowest
are.
point that I've seen,
Yeah.
she is up 5.5 points in the New Jersey gubernatorial race in one. Yeah, that's the lowest, 5.5
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
I've seen leads as far as big as 12. So
Okay.
it looks good, is what I'm saying. Looks real
It's
good.
going to be a race, though. That's one. If you're watching tonight for things that might go either way, I think that's the one to watch because it's Republicans in New Jersey. There's still many, many of them. That sort of shocks me. And this really is still Trump territory in terms of Republican territory. His golf course is there. There are a lot of people who associate with his mob instincts or his mob past in New Jersey, and maybe the Republican candidate there is as well. So I'd watch that race really carefully. I think there's something that could be a real upset if Cheryl wins, and I think she will, but I don't think it's a guarantee.
No, that's the only toss-up. Let's get to the New York City mayor's likelihood that Zoran Mondami might beat Andrew Cuomo. And I'm going to throw this over to you. Right now, 94% chance of winning. Cuomo's clocking in at 6%. Curtis Sliwa this morning went full Mondami. Like, he was like, you know what? He's not a socialist. He's not a commie. He's a guy that wants the best for New York. So if you want to vote for him, vote for him. If you want to vote for me, vote for me. But whatever you do, don't vote for Andrew Cuomo. But I want to kind of test, because you've lived there.
Oh,
You understand the Cuomo dynasty. You know what's going on behind the scenes with Cuomo tagging in all the Trump people. What does it say when a guy that has absolutely zero attachment to any lobby groups, zero attachment to big pharma, zero attachment to anything to do with what has normally put a candidate or a mayor of a mega city like New York into office? And what does it say about the people of New York and the state of politics in the United States of America? Because that interests me more than anything today.
well, Mamdani is such an interesting character, but he really does reflect the actual city. I mean, you see that if you live in New York, you know that it's an incredibly diverse place, and that it's also a place where people come from all sorts of classes, from all different backgrounds, and because of that, these people who feel that they can just try to appeal to the establishment are always kind of screwed. They never really get their way, because it's not just about Manhattan, really. There's 5 boroughs, and each of them has very, very different mixes and very different people who are living there, and each of them is encouraged by what Mamdani has to offer. His core message is really about affordability, and it's really expensive to live in New York. I've lived there. It is, no matter if you have a decent job and you do well, it's still very hard to make ends meet, because the prices of property are so high because of a lot of foreign investors have come in over the years and taken up property. You've got Airbnb that sucked up a lot of the other properties. You've got the general vibe in the city where there's so much corruption that just getting anything done, built, or changed is really complicated. So his suggestion about the city grocery stores, universal child care, these are things that really appeal to your average
Free transit.
New Yorkers really need it. I mean, they really are struggle to make ends meet, especially in the current economic climate. So he is speaking their language. That's why he's going to win. It has nothing to do with the identity politics, Donald Trump. It has to do with the fact that he's got good policies that are speaking to the average working class people of New York who are going to elect him the New York mayor without a doubt because God knows Andrew Cuomo doesn't represent them. And Curtis Sliwa, who's just like he lives under the rocks of
Cockroach.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to say it. But he lives under, every few weeks he shows up and tries to get attention for himself. He's he's a cartoon character. He's not even real. Like I've met him a few times because I used to produce the local news over there, and he's an interesting guy. I mean, he's a good enough guy, but he is not mayoral material. And if this is all the Republican Party could pull together was Curtis Sliwa, if this is the only candidate they could get, it tells you how dead in the water Republicans are in New York City.
What a great point. What a great point.
So there's no race, really.
They got the guy from Guardian Angels who still wears a red beret.
Yeah, I mean, really. And this guy still monitors the streets. Like, I think it's just him now in the Guardian Angels. And
is it really?
He goes up and down. I'm like, dude, you're still going out there every day? Like, come on. This was a good shtick a few years ago, but still. And now he's going to be wants to be the mayor. It's not going to happen, of course, but they just couldn't find anyone stupid enough to run for the Republican Party. Andrew Cuomo is everything you're seeing that he is, just an institutionalist. He's captured by big money and big interests. He was a failed New York governor. We found out, firsthand last time he was governor, and his whole family's political dynasty has sort of collapsed. So really, there's not a race there. It'll be shocking if Mamdani didn't win, but it's so exciting to have a 34-year-old new young blood kind of mayor in New York City that's really going to revolutionize the way that city is run and really talk to the key issues that matter to people, which is affordability in the city you live in. Anyone can relate to that. It should be the number one thing every politician thinks about every single day is how do you make it more affordable for people in your constituency to survive. Of course, it's the last thing from Donald Trump's mind, but it's what everyone else should be thinking.
Yeah, and he really focused his attention on, not worrying about Donald Trump calling him a commie, not worrying about other people calling him a Jew hater, not worrying about, the labels that the MAGA machine tried to put on him to get people to feel fear when they wanted to cast their vote for someone who wasn't an insider, wasn't part of the institution. And you can probably say, without the mean-spiritedness that Mamdani is the authentic version of what Trump sold to America when he said, I'm an outsider. He's really an outsider. This guy really is an idealist. And it excites me because I hope it starts a fire. I hope it starts a fire under the bellies and the feet of people who have been captured by the idea and the ideology and the identity of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. I hope it opens people's eyes. I hope he's incredibly successful. I don't give a fuck that he's a socialist Democrat or I don't care about the labels that you want to give him. What I care about is that he's interested in humanity and taking care of the people of New York. I care that he's not part of the establishment. Donald Trump served the establishment, sucked the chrome off the establishment's bumper, and is the deep state. He just lied to everybody and told everybody he wasn't because he was never elected to office before. This gentleman, Mr. Mamdani, yes, he's an idealist. Yes, if your ideology doesn't mix with his, you're not going to like him. But I can tell you this, every person in New York, and if you're a New York subscriber and you're here, you're probably not, I'm preaching to the converted. Give him an opportunity. I can guarantee you that if he does everything for the right reasons, if he manages New York with values and virtues like courage, wisdom, temperance, justice for the people of New York, he will start a revolution where 360 million people will go, oh, we've been getting fucked for 100 years, maybe more. Let's turn our attention to more people like him. I was asked to run in a riding here in Ontario not long ago for the federal. It doesn't matter. I don't want to give too much information. And what I said to the person that asked me if I'd be interested was no, because I'm not interested in being in your business. I'm not interested in being labeled by your business. I'm not interested in carrying the cards for your business and the ideology of your business. I'm not interested in the tenets of your business. I'm interested in the people that we have to serve. because that is the privilege that you get when people vote for you. It is, please serve me, please help me, please make things more affordable, please give me health care, please listen to me. I will run for that party if that party existed, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in Canada, it doesn't exist in the United States, and Mr. Mandami is proving that it might just be time for everybody to jump on that boat as well.
That's really well said. Should we listen to the closing arguments by Mamdani, Cuomo, and Sliwa?
Yes.
Let's take a listen.
With close to just 24 hours until the polls close, let us leave everything out there on the field, my friends. Let us do it together.
How do you feel about the state of the polls right now?
Oh, I'm the happy warrior. I'm not dystopian like Andrew Cuomo with a cloud over his head, like, oh, doom and gloom, it's the end of the world.
We need a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump, who can get the funding that New York deserves, who can make sure the National Guard does not come to New York, because we don't need the National Guard, and I can stand up to Trump.
The MAGA movement's embrace of Andrew Cuomo is reflective of Donald Trump's understanding that this would be the best mayor for him. Not the best mayor for New York City, not the best mayor for New Yorkers, but the best mayor for Donald Trump as his administration.
I worry about the safety of New Yorkers because I think if there is a huge Achilles heel for Zohan Mandami, it's public safety, quality of life, and supporting the police.
And the reason that the President of the United States of America, the reason that one of the wealthiest men in the world are both trying to get involved at the last minute is that they know we will accomplish everything we have run on. Oh. That is what they fear.
In the chance that I should lose, unlike Andrew Cuomo and his billionaire friends who have said they'll flee to
4%.
Florida,
He's
I
at
improve,
4%.
I don't move, I fight for what I know is right. I'll be leading the opposition, and I'll be their worst nightmare.
Well,
I'm all about
hardly. But that's Sliwa admitting that he's not going to win because he ain't going to win.
Yeah, he's at 2%, I believe, in likelihood, or 1%. Cuomo's at 6%. Mamdani is at 94%. Everything's trending in the right direction for America in these microcosms, in these little pockets. Let's go to California real quick if we can.
Yeah.
They've got Prop 50 today. If you ask me what scares Donald Trump the most is that today, Gavin Newsom, or Newscomb, depending on how you feel about him, and the state of California stand to take away all the hard gerrymandering work they did in Texas. They stand to level the playing field with 5 seats. It'll go to Democrats. And that scares Trump more than anything, because if you remember correctly, he called Wheels, Greg Abbott. Sorry, I can't help myself.
That's very funny.
Who yesterday said if anybody from Texas moves to New York, that person was going to be tariffed at 100%. That's impossible, almost as impossible as him walking again without an exoskeleton.
Ouch.
Anyway, calls Greg Abbott in the middle of the night a couple of months ago, and he's like, I'm entitled to 5 seats. You better get me 5 seats. It's going to be a whitewash if you don't. Da-da-da-da-da. And he got his 5 seats. Prop 50 takes away those 5 seats in a totally different state. But it does more than that. It says, fuck you. And it sets a precedent for all kinds of blue states, blue cities, sanctuary states to do the exact same fucking thing. So today, the 4th of November, not only are all signs pointing to, yes, indeed, doesn't matter what Donald Trump puts on Truth Social, America hates the man and America's collapsing, but it also signifies to me, which is, I think, so beautiful. I don't like using that word because it's a little weird. Beautiful is that America is waking up. America is fighting back. And America might survive what Donald Trump is trying to do to the United States. And that makes this guy incredibly happy, because America, we missed you.
You know, this proposition, Prop 50 in California, turns this off your election into an on your election. It turns this election into being as important as 2026 because those 5 seats will make the difference. What Californians decide in terms of
By the way,
creating
70 to 80% of Californians said they're going to vote for Prop 50, so
yeah,
it's going to happen.
it looks like it's going to happen. You're absolutely right, and that's why it's so important because it equals the playing field for next year. And because Republicans are doing so horrifically in every way possible, it's unlikely to see them, mustering enough extra seats in all these other red states that they're trying to do in order to win the elections next year for the House. And the control of the House, if that slips away from the Republicans, that is a nightmare for Republicans. It's a nightmare for Donald Trump because the next thing you think of is impeachment. And that is the next thing everyone will think of if he loses tonight's election in California in this proposition and in these other states. People are going to start looking at the numbers, and if he's down at 35% right now, they're going to start musing about 25%. 25% is what kicked Nixon out of power, and he is heading in that direction. You could not imagine a worse president than the one we're having right now, who's really destroying any possibility of winning this election.
Mm. Yeah. Listen, this is for America's future. And Gavin Newsom said it best today. Hey, this Donald Trump is weakness masquerading as strength, and ripping the curtain back so you can see that the Wizard of Oz is indeed a tiny, balding, decrepit, dementia-laden fascist. Is of the utmost importance. At the same time, so is your ability to vote. So is your interest in keeping America, America, and taking it back for yourselves. And again, I go back to that all the time. Is the idea that the United States of America has abandoned itself? What I'm seeing today in polling, what I'm seeing today from Americans, what I'm seeing from specific states and cities in the United States of America, defy traditional political logic. Right? New Jersey, that defines traditional political logic. And you can kind of set your watch to the reason. It's independence. He has lost 30% of the support that he had in the 2024 election, all independents. The biggest drop that he's had, millennials and people under the age of 30, the Hispanic community and the Black community. He tricked them. He told them he was going to make their lives great. He was only going to go after, illegal aliens. He has spent the last several months beating the shit out of marginalized communities and people of color. If you don't think that those videos don't matter, or if you go buy them on social media and you're doom scrolling, and you're like, I can't watch this, and you're not sharing it, do it. Those things really fucking matter. The America's reputation matters to Americans. I watched a video this morning that summed up where we're at, but it also summed up why America hates Donald Trump. The incivility, the mean-spiritedness, the destruction of basic human rights, the disappearing of Americans from the streets, shooting into cars, ICE goons, total fucking losers that just was like, I need 50 grand to pay off some gambling debts, or, I can't get a job, or I can't read. Well, go join ICE, they'll give you 50 grand. Shooting into cars, pulling mothers with 4 children out of the car as they shoot into cars. This is in Broadview, New York, Broadview, Illinois, over the weekend. America's tired of it. Dude, America's so exhausted by the visuals that he continually thinks, and it's going to kill him, and rightfully so, kill his political career. It's going to kill MAGA. That's not America, and Americans know that, and they're fucking exhausted by it.
They're exhausted by it, and if you're sitting on your couch thinking, should I go vote? Shouldn't I go vote? Even though the Democrats are going to win in my district, just go do it, because his plan right after this is to figure out how he's going to call a national emergency around the elections. That is his stated plan. That's why he's got Heather Honey in there at the Department of Homeland Security, monitoring election security. They're busy figuring out how they can declare a national emergency to take over next year's elections, to change all the rules for voting in each state, to basically co-opt all the state powers that are uniquely state powers and turn them into federal powers. That can't happen, of course, in terms of the Constitution, but they're going to do that. So any hope that he sees that there is even a little bit of support for him in America will embolden that plan. And we should absolutely send him a clear message today that that is a non-starter. His attempts to take over the elections for next year are not going to work. And that's why it's another big message that voters are delivering him today. And get out there and vote if you can. If you're still voting in your territory, just go do it. Every voice and every vote counts. The number 4 story, Dick Cheney, the most powerful vice president in American history and architect of the post 9/11 war on terror, died yesterday at 84 from complications of pneumonia and decades of heart disease. The man who championed torture programs, warrantless surveillance, and the catastrophic Iraq war spent his final years breaking with Republicans to condemn Trump's authoritarian moves, backing his daughter's Liz's January the 6th investigation, and even voting for Kamala Harris in 2024. His death closes the book on a figure who Democrats once moved to impeach, but ultimately shook hands with after he stood against Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election. It's a reminder, I guess, that, it's been bad before. We survived it. But, Dick Cheney, what can you say?
He's dead.
He's dead. He's dead.
Dick Cheney, if you were alive during Desert Storm, and you were alive during the Bush admin, I know some people that are watching probably aren't. Most people are, because we're a couple of middle-aged snacks that cater to other middle-aged snacks with brains. He was awful. Like, he was the Grim Reaper. He was the guy that developed the whole propaganda weapons of mass destruction that Colin Powell years later turned around and went, I shouldn't have gone along with that. It was all bullshit. We attacked Iraq for no fucking reason. I feel terrible about it. Dick Cheney was a warmonger. Dick Cheney used the war on terror and what happened after 9/11 to go ham around the world, to collect oil leases around the world for his buddies at Halliburton. He was the CEO of Halliburton for a long period of time. Dick Cheney was a very bad person. Dick Cheney, and the other interesting part of Dick Cheney was Dick Cheney had like a terrible heart disease and managed to live an extra 35, 40 years through the miracle of science. And at the end, he had a heart transplant. But prior to that, he literally didn't have a heart. He had a machine inside himself that was attached to a couple of batteries that just kept pushing blood around his system so he could stay alive. Truly fucking remarkable.
That's crazy, actually.
But later in life, Dick Cheney, like most of us that, are on a mission for the team that we ride for, that, whether you and I have both had a couple of different lives, you get a bit older and you have a crisis of conscience. Dick Cheney apologized for standing against gay marriage because one of his daughters is gay, Liz Cheney's sister. Dick Cheney's fierce opposition of Donald Trump, not because of his daughter, but because he loved America, was truly a spectacular thing to watch. And you have to, and there's a lot of people that hate the Bush admin, and I get it. I've been absolutely disgusted by the idea that George Bush has done nothing, said nothing, just allowed Donald Trump, because he could do something for the Republican Party. He's refused to do it. Dick Cheney did it. Dick Cheney stood. You can say, hey, he was trying to protect his daughter. But Dick Cheney truly did seem to see some kind of light towards the end of his life, but I don't think he'll ever be remembered. A lot of memories this morning, a lot of people talking about how much of a patriot he was. But he was, Trump regime light before the Trump regime was here, but he was a man of means. He was a very bright guy, and he was a very convicted guy. It's just, he was also a warmongering asshole who killed lots of people on behalf of the United States and their desire to control oil fields all around the fucking world. So there's that.
I mean, the same machine that gave us Donald Trump gave us Dick Cheney, and before that, it gave us Ronald Reagan, and there's and the other George Bush. I mean, this has been a thing that's been going on in America for 50 years, if not longer. And it's, you talk about coming of age. I think America is finally realizing that, everything is not quite what it seems, that the past was full of terrible people doing terrible things to America. It's sort of like we're living in an adolescence that you wake up one day and you realize, oh, wait, the world isn't quite the way my parents told me it was going to be. And, Santa doesn't really exist or whatever. And here we go. This is the real world. But
wait, whoa. What? Santa's not real?
Dude, I hate to break it to you, but, chimney and everything, no.
All right. Well,
No, too many
I'm glad
chimneys.
you're doing this.
Too many
I've seen
chimneys.
people get fired for saying Santa's not real. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have those rules around here.
No. We can do whatever we want.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you look at what Donald Trump is, and he's like a turbocharged version of Dick Cheney. You think of Halliburton as this corrupt empire that Dick Cheney built, that sort of monetized war, and how they went to war literally to get oil. I mean, it's so pathetic that, and we've just seen that accelerate and accelerate and accelerate. And of course, we all know that the 2008 crisis was precipitated by the fact that they allowed all these banks and regulators to stop doing the work that they needed to do during the Bush-Cheney years. And you can just see this progression of the small government, deregulated government, this lack of accountability on the one hand, with, on the other hand, a lot of corruption and brought up politicians brought up by the oil companies is how we got here.
Oh, energy, dude! Like he presided over that energy crisis that brought down Enron and put a bunch of those dickheads
another Ponzi
in
scheme,
jail. Yeah. He wasn't a good dude. He really was not a good dude.
Yeah, and so we need to wake up. America needs to wake up to the fact that these guys have no good part of them. There's not a single part of their agenda that is helpful. And it's great that at the end of his life, he finally had a come to Jesus moment and saw the light. But he caused a lot of damage along the way, and we should never forget that.
But you know what? I'll tell you this. Knowing what we have in the White House and running the United States of America right now, I bet you there are a lot of people in this chat who'd be like, oh, fuck. I wish we could go back to Bush and Dick. Like,
those calm years. Those were so good, those war years.
Yeah.
At number 3, the Trump administration is quietly signaling that the 650,000 furloughed federal workers sent home during his record-breaking 34-day shutdown may not receive back pay, despite a 2019 law explicitly guaranteeing it. Second-round furlough notices across multiple agencies, include Defense, Commerce, and State, have removed language assuring furloughed employees would be paid once government reopens, leaving only promises for those still working without pay. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt confirms that this is now a negotiating point with Democrats, essentially holding workers' legally mandated wages as hostage for political leverage. I mean, this is insane that they are basically going to break the law again. But, having people come to work and then not guaranteeing them the back pay, it's bad enough they're not getting paid. I mean, these people have to go to like grocery stores and feed their families, and they have to pay their energy bills, and they have to, get to work on their own dime right now. Now they're being told, well, you may not get that money.
I want you to remember these 3 words: starvation. Sorry, 4. There's 4 words here. I just did some quick math. Starvation as a weapon.
Yeah.
Starvation as a weapon. Trump is weaponizing starvation. Not only is he not going to pay 630,000 furloughed workers, which is very Trumpian of him. Like if you know anything about his business history, you know anything about his construction history, every single trade union, every single person that he had build his shit always had to either beg for their money, go to court for their money, or none of them got fucking paid.
Yeah.
And what he would do is he would create a crisis. Oh, I can't do this, can't do that. This is Trump 101. If you know anything about the guy that bankrupted 3 fucking casinos, which is virtually fucking impossible to do. So remember that. Put that in your back pocket. What he is trying to do is actively starve Americans to visit pain on Americans. You know how completely fucking vengeful this man is. He is going to lose all kinds of reputational capital today with these elections, whether it's Prop 50, Virginia, New Jersey, New York. And he is already signaling that he plans on hitting back. He plans on hitting Americans. He plans on telling, because he's going to lose. He's losing, right? And if there's one thing Trump doesn't like, it's losing. So the other thing that he did today, other than say, I'm not going to pay any of you furloughed workers, even though we own every level of government, we can end the shutdown tomorrow if we wanted. He also said, after a judge ruled that he had to, his regime, the Trump regime, had to release $5.5 billion to feed 42 million very fucking hungry Americans who are going to go without their nutritional benefit, which is called SNAP. He tweets this today. SNAP benefits, all caps, by the way, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if you know that. It's all caps, which increased by billions and billions of dollars. In parentheses, he then explains it manyfold.
FYI. his vocabulary has expanded. You got to give it to him since he came to
Manyfold.
his second term.
During crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed to anyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up government, which they can easily do, and not before. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. He owns all three levels of government. That's just a full fucking bullshit Truth Social tweet. And it is fucking crazy. He's still hanging every one of his failures on Joe Biden, who hasn't been around for almost a year. But, we'll leave that aside. And he's the guy that engineered the shutdown. And he's the guy that said, don't pay SNAP benefits. And he's the fucking guy that says we're going to furlough workers. We're not going to pay them either. He's the guy, not Joe Biden, not anybody else, him and his regime. They are starving people and using starvation as a weapon. Let me also point this out, and here's how I know it. Other than all this, here's how I know he's weaponizing starvation to kill Americans and to get what he wants. He made Brooke Rollins, the head of the Department of Agriculture, send letters, warnings, intimidating warnings to every single grocery store in the United States of America that takes part in the SNAP benefit program, and said explicitly, if you reduce prices for people during the time where we're preventing people from accessing SNAP benefits, if you give them food, if you show them mercy, if you show them empathy, if you feed anybody, we're going to remove you from that SNAP program, and we're going to prosecute you.
That's crazy.
He did that today. So if you fucking I won't say if you think this, you're crazy, because you're not. These are the smartest people on Substack, the people that are tuning in. I have never in my life, and I've been shocked by this guy. I've been shocked by his anger, his mean-spiritedness, his evility. I've been grossed out by it. He is actively, by policy, trying to induce something called Holodomor, which is where Stalin starved the fucking people of Ukraine, millions of them, killed millions of them. He's actively trying to introduce that as policy because, anybody? The Democrats don't want him to cut Medicaid to 20 million people.
But this is against his own people. These are against.
Of course it is.
It's shocking.
And all of these other elections, he's going to double down and try and figure out a way to hurt Americans more. That's the only thing he understands.
Is pain and suffering, and then taking away everyone's rights. Ultimately, he's leading towards a complete collapse of the economy. And when you've got people starving, they can't do very much else. They think about food. They think about how they're going to survive their day-to-day lives. And if you're starving them, they're not going to protest necessarily. They're not going to necessarily be a problem for you, but they're not going to be paying their mortgages either. They're not going to be paying their rents either. You're going to start seeing the mortgage economy collapsing. And he really wants to see the entire economy crash to a halt. That is how disgusting this presidency is. The number two story is also important, and it's relevant to what you've been talking about, because Donald Trump and his administration are now seeking the advice, that's what they're calling it, from the Justice Department for additional guidance that could provide a legal basis for any military action beyond the current campaign against Venezuela. So, as you know, they've been striking boats in open international waters. And they threatened war against Venezuela, but they haven't been getting a lot of support. So now they're trying to figure out if there's a way for them to have legal rationale for targeting Mr. Maduro, the Venezuelan dictator, directly without needing congressional authorization for the use of military force. And that is what they're looking to do now, is to basically take out the dictator of Venezuela, who none of us have any support for, but still is the the rightful current leader of that place. President Nicolas Maduro is now wanting to make him a target, so they're going to try to do assassinations of leaders of countries instead of needing to go to get authorization for war from the Congress. And that's just moving right now at the New York Times, which pushed that story. I mean, it's unconscionable, but what do you do when you have an economy in crisis? What do you do when Democrats are surging? Well, you start a war.
Yeah, but he said in the 60 Minutes interview, where she's like, "You're going to invade Venezuela?" He's like, "I don't think so." I don't think so.
No support.
Yeah, no, none. Let's up the ante here. This is from about an hour and a half ago. This is a news outlet, a mill blogger in Russia, and it was confirmed through several sources that Russia has delivered several Pantsir S-1 and Buk M2E surface-to-air missiles to Venezuela. Systems transported aboard an IL-76 military airport transcraft. I'm shocked they have shit left. I thought Ukraine cleaned them out. Apparently not. Russia, China, Iran are flooding Venezuela right now with military equipment.
Yeah, they'd love this war.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would prove out Russia to be this country that America thought it was or used to be to every member of the EU, standing up to Americanism, standing up to the West. This is going to, if Donald Trump pulls the trigger on this war with Venezuela, this is going to be a nightmare for the United States of America. We talked about that yesterday.
It sounds like the military is not supporting him, and that's why he's not going to choose the direct military path. But he still thinks he's got a right to take out Maduro, which would, of course, trigger a war anyhow, because, that's what happens when you eliminate the leader or assassinate the leader of a country. But so they're trying to figure out a covert way, I bet, to use whatever they have, whatever resources they have inside Venezuela to assassinate the Venezuelan president in order to avoid having to go to Congress and avoid the uncomfortable thing that they would be asking the military to do something that they refuse to do, which is currently what's happening. But, it's an astonishing decay of our foreign policy when they're thinking about assassinating leaders in other countries just because.
Yeah, well, dude, like they've done nothing to us. I mean, they've done lots to Maduro's done a ton to the Venezuelan people. He's a dictator. He's an asshole. He's like that, the horseshoe curve they talk about with socialism and fascism. He calls himself a socialist, but he's a dictator, and he is hurt the Venezuelan people. But that country is in no way a threat to the United States' national security, like in no way, shape, or form. To your point. This is just another distraction. This, like the government shutdown, is the Epstein files shutdown. This is the Epstein files Venezuelan war if he chooses to go to war.
Oh, but they do have oil. They do have oil. Speaking of Dick Cheney.
Well, of course they do.
They do have oil. So that would be nice to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The number two story, two-parter. Sorry, this is number one story, but it's a two-parter. The Supreme Court hears arguments Wednesday on Trump's sweeping global tariffs in a spectacular case, which I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually going to listen to the entire argument tomorrow because I'm really interested in what SCOTUS is going to be saying. Maybe we'll carry it live for you here on Narrative. But, this is a big argument that they're hearing tomorrow. But it's coming at the same time as Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is threatening Canada for the second day in a row. This comes from deanblundell.substack.com. What do you have on Bessent's war on Canada?
Bessent was on Fox this weekend, and they were talking to him about Canada and when are you going to get a trade deal with Canada. Mark Carney made a misstep. Mark Carney, over this last week, everybody is aware of the Canada ad with Ronald Reagan, where he talks about how stupid tariffs are. Only a moron president would do it. And Doug Ford went all in. And I hate Doug Ford's guts. He's like he's fat Trump up here. He's our premier of the province that I live in. He's corrupt. He's an awful human being. He's a neocon. But he is trying to create this atmosphere around himself that he's Captain Canada. So he said he's not going to apologize for the ad, but Mark Carney did. Mark Carney called Donald Trump and he's like, hey, sorry if it upset you. Da-da-da-da-da. Donald Trump on Air Force One coming back from his Great Gatsby bash was like, Mark Carney called me. Good guy. Said he's sorry. Said he's sorry for the fake ad. It opened up a window to continue to portray that ad as AI driven, to continue to lie about Ronald Reagan liking tariffs. He fucking hated tariffs, specifically for allies. I mean, you can hear it in his own words, not even in that commercial. Just go to YouTube and Google it. So it just opened up this other front, and it made us look weak. It made Canada look silly. And Carney kind of threw Ford under the bus when he apologized to him, but he's not expanding on it. He's not talking about it. And I'm a big Carney guy, and he's not going to get everything right, and I get that. But it was a problem for me, and I'm just being honest. You wanted him to stand up for Canada. You wanted, and he does. I want him to have our best interests at heart. But I also want him to fucking show some fur from time to time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I want him to show some backbone. I want him to be the guy that goes, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, we're not interested in your bullshit. That commercial was a commercial. Canada has the right to do whatever we want. Because at the same time, the MAGAverse is pumping millions of dollars into provinces like Alberta. They're buying ads for conservative interests here in Ontario and in Canada. You've got Jamil Javani, who's J.D. Vance's best friend. He's part of the Maple MAGA Conservative Party, running around literally right now trying to recreate Turning Point USA, telling young men, young Christian white men that, oh, the liberals are the problem and they're racist and they hate you. Like, it's fucking carbon copy. It's all it is. It's ridiculous.
They really are trying to, paint Carney as ineffective, and it's annoying. But as you point out, he does lack that bite. Although he was probably looking for an opportunity to hit at Doug Ford a little bit too, because Doug Ford is getting quite a national profile along the way here, and he probably doesn't want to see him as competition down the line. So he probably thought, hey, I can knock him down a little bit and score a point with Trump.
Yeah, and he knows how valuable Canada is, how absolutely loved Canadians are, how Canada is got a 60% approval rating, 60% higher than Donald Trump's approval rating in the United States of America. So Scott Bessent did the tour this weekend, and he was like, we don't have a deal with Canada because that ad, and I don't know we're going to have a deal with Canada, but we might do a trail deal with them, but they have to pay a price. Pay a price. So we got to pay.
What does that mean?
No one knows because they're all fucking morons.
Yeah.
Then he goes today. He was like, "Yeah, we put talks with Canada on hold until we decide what kind of punishment we're going to deliver to the Canadian people for an ad that Doug Ford took out that just echoed Ronald Reagan's words from 1987. In no way was made up. Sure, they edited it, but they didn't edit it to be out of context. It's all fucking there. Like, it's all right there."
What's interesting is Bessent's going to show up tomorrow and get a front row seat on the Supreme Court hearings. He's going to be there, ringside, as it were. He wants to hear the arguments for himself. I hope the Supreme Court just knocks this thing out, and I'm sure the justices are not happy to be hearing this case. It's they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. But it seems to me like these tariffs are not legal, and that they could be knocked back, and God knows what that means down the line.
Well, and listen, not only does God know what it means, is that I think Trump today is telegraphing that he's going to fucking lose. He said he's not going to show up. Scott Bessent's going to go there. Canada, a bunch of other tariff countries are waiting with bated breath to see if the Supreme Court chills the tariff bullshit and gives us the opportunity to get a deal done with the United States of America with these lunatics that are in the Oval Office. But the truth of the matter, and this is kind of the interesting aspect of this, is that this is kind of why Canada has slow played all this stuff. I talked to somebody in Carney's orbit yesterday about the SCOTUS decision, and they're like, it was, the International Trade Court sided with us. Every other district court has sided with us, and for America's allies pre-Trump, they don't see why they wouldn't side with us. And the other thing this is very interesting, no leaks. Like if Donald Trump, and don't question whether or not Donald Trump is trying desperately to figure out a way that he can put his thumbs on the scale, trying desperately to figure out a way that he can leak some information to sort of change the narrative or put some pressure on SCOTUS. But the fact that there are no leaks and the fact that he's lost at every level, there is a very angry Donald Trump right now that said, and I quote, I can't quote because I'm not quoting, but who said something to the effect of, doesn't matter what they decide, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. Just like he's doing with the SNAP benefits. He's going to continue to do this and ignore this fucking Supreme Court, like he is ignoring federal courts when it comes to every decision, including these SNAP benefits. So this not only sets up an opportunity for Canada to kind of drive that wedge in there, but it also sets up an opportunity, I think, for people to start having a more serious conversation about the Constitution of the United States. And that's something that we've had heated discussions over. This is going to be a constitutionality crisis because Donald Trump has never said, he's really not been told no by the Supreme Court of the United States yet.
Yeah.
He's been given all kinds of leeway and different paths to be able to kind of get around what he's been doing and what he wants to do to the United States. So a no tomorrow, which pundits are saying because of a couple of, different aspects or different threads are saying that he's going to get a no. And it doesn't release any tariffs. What it does is it'll start challenging his ability to call anything an international emergency, something that he needs to put a directive for, because these are not international emergencies. Trade was humming between our countries, has for years. We've got a free trade agreement. Our economies are effectively integrated. And he just kind of put a stop on it and goes, fentanyl. And then Tulsi Gabbard comes out. She's like, well, there's no fentanyl. And that'll be part of the decision tomorrow. And he's like, there's still fentanyl. And they're like, no, there's no fentanyl. He's like, the fucking ad. I hated the ad. More tariffs. Like it's unconstitutional. It is a breach of our trade agreement with the United States of America. And if the Supreme Court finally fucking gets it right, which apparently they might tomorrow, I think we're going to see a very angry Donald Trump in the afternoon.
Now, they're just hearing arguments tomorrow, so we won't know for sure what they're thinking, but we can tell with the line of questioning what they say. And you bet your bottom dollar, whatever happens today at the polls is going to influence them. They're human beings like the rest of us. If they see a big defeat for Trump and his policies in the polls, that will impact the kind of questions we hear tomorrow. That'll impact the mood of the justices tomorrow. So we'll be able to read between the lines as these arguments are going on as to whether, these tariffs have got a chance of succeeding and Donald Trump's policies can continue. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting day. That is the FiveStack today. I want to thought it was Thursday, but it's only Tuesday. Gosh, because it's been so busy. It's been a busy few days here.
I feel like we just got started.
Yeah, I know. Tonight, Michael Wolff is coming on at 7 p.m. with me to talk about Epstein and Trump. It's a must-watch for everybody. I hope everyone joins me.
You're having Michael Wolff on the program?
Yes, and I'm a little bit nervous. I got to say, I've had to do a little bit of research.
Just tag me
in. A lot of research.
Tag me in. I'll come into that one. I'll get into that one. And I'll calm everybody down, too. I want to be on it.
It's really an interesting conversation. I've been trying to talk to Michael Wolff. As you know, he's done a lot of stuff on Trump, on Epstein. He's spoken to both of those guys. He's got hundreds of hours of tapes just on Epstein. And as we're getting ready to launch The Greatest Heist Book 2, it'll revolve around the same sort of network that we keep identifying. This network of, call them what you will, mobsters, foreign influences, operatives, who seem to have taken a hold of America over the last 50 years and are bankrupting America. So it'll be a really exciting conversation. And we'll talk about elections as well. So yeah, hop on at some point. And
Big get. Dude. Yeah, no. You can ride with us if you want me on it. I'm happy to join you because I just love Michael Wolff. I love his courage. I love the fact that he's suing Melania and Donald for threatening to sue him. Love that. So no, you go for it. But dude, congrats. That's a huge get.
He had a really great premiere on Substack. I mean, he went in his first day with "I'm suing Melania." I mean, that was a very impressive way to start your Substack career. So, just for that alone, it's impressive that he's. And I'm excited to talk to him about that because I want to hear about this lawsuit. He's not backing down. He's suing and. They sued him, of course, and now he's countersuing because he wants to
threatened to sue him. They threatened to sue him and Hunter Biden and anybody that said that Melania Trump had sex with Jeffrey Epstein before she had sex with Donald Trump.
But the record is pretty clear on that. I mean, sorry,
she
Donald.
Did. She totally did. She was part of she was in the Epstein circle before, she was a product of that. She's the first lady. Like she's an Epstein Files girl who's now the first lady. So she's realized her potential and she doesn't want anybody to unwrap the truth that she may be not a very effective first lady who is also deeply involved in the Epstein Files. So I can't wait for that. I'll watch it tonight with you.
You mean she wasn't in love with Donald Trump? That's not the reason she became
apparently not
married. No, apparently wasn't love.
His mushroom penis. And folks,
Santa Claus now love? What the hell?
It exists. I hope love exists. I've heard of it. What is it like? What is love like, Ron? Sorry, just an Anchorman reference. One of my favorite movies of all time.
No worries.
Yeah. Dude, I can't wait to watch that. Everybody, what you need to do is go subscribe to Zev. You go to narrative.org, give him a subscription, free or paid. Paid is what really keeps us going. It makes these interviews possible. It makes us touching base with you possible. And I'm looking for you know what I haven't done? I'm just being honest. I haven't asked anybody for a founding membership.
Oh yeah.
Are you aware of these things? I'm really new to Substack. And so I just kind of did all my headers and kind of tried to learn how Substack works and best ways. And I'm like, I don't have any founding members.
You don't have founding members? Oh, you should get founding members.
Thousands of members, like a beautiful paid community of unbelievable people. I would like my first founding member. So and here's the deal. This is what I'm going to do just for you today. This is the beautiful part of Substack. All founding members will get their lifetime subscription. You will never pay again. And I've reduced prices too. So if you want to become a founding member, I would greatly appreciate it. It would just be really fucking cool. And I haven't given out these like extreme lifetime memberships yet, where someone you can sign in for a reduced annual membership and you can get 25% off that as well. But that rolls over every year, right? So for I think it's $150, you can get like a lifetime membership, unlimited access for the rest of your life.
What do you
And
get? What do they get? What do they get from you? What special thing are you got?
you get to come on podcasts like the Coffee and Tea with Lev podcast, where you can be a co-host with us.
Oh, you know what? You should do that. You should do that with
We
your
did it.
founding
We did it
members.
on the weekend. We had some dude named Cheech. I can't remember his last name. Cheech came on from Rhode Island. He was fucking spectacular. And then we just let people ask the questions, and then we let Lev answer them or we answer them. So it was 100% Substack driven, like by users, by subscribers. It was such a fucking
It's such a
beautiful
great
podcast.
idea. That's great.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I'd love to see you with anybody, because everyone knows deanblundell.substack.com is the best place to get your news, and your spin on the news is so amazing. But to have you with founding members in a live situation would be awesome. And because I was telling someone we both know yesterday that you're one of the best broadcasters I've ever worked with. And I've worked with some good broadcasters in my life. But I really believe that you're one of those few people that could just get on the air and you just fill this space. You're a real pro in everything you do. But your takes are also not just like stupid takes. They're really smart, incisive, understanding what's going on. You're connected to a lot of people. You have a lot of your own sources, which, help educate what you say. And the way you do it and what you say is so important that everyone needs to subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com and support you as a founding member as well, because I think that's terrific. It's a good idea. I want to see you go one-on-one.
Appreciate it. I would love to. And we want to get the pulse of the people. So that's why we're doing this, is that, we sit here and talk from these perches, but we do this for people, with people. You're our people, you're our family, you're our community. So we want you to rant. We want you to get off. We want you to kind of be able to have your voice, like really have your voice, where we can see your face and you can have a voice, where you can ask our questions, where you can fill us in, because that's the purpose of this, is this beautiful, beautiful family and community. And don't forget, Zev with Michael Wolf tonight. I'll be watching. Everybody else should be. What time was that again?
At 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
At 7, yeah.
I'll be there, buddy. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for joining us for the FiveStack. Take us away, my friend.
Well, that's it. That's all we have for. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and tonight at 7. We'll see you then. We'll have all the election updates tomorrow, plus a lot more. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.